Hi everyone, Tom here, and joined by Andre today to discuss his recent playtime with the Halo Infinite beta. This was a technical test sort of put on by 343 to make sure the game's going to be running well up to launch. Andre, how much did you play of the beta, and what were you liking so far?
Yeah, so I played a fair amount of it, or a couple of hours, which is the window it was available in, although I think it went a little bit beyond that even. But yeah, I didn't get into the beta myself. My friend did. I didn't even know about the beta until basically people started getting accepted into it. I'm like, darn, I missed out on that. But luckily, my friend did get in, went over to his place, played for a couple of hours, and had a pretty good time. I have to say, this seems to be the closest to Halo that any of the 343 games have seemed to be so far. Although, full disclosure, I only played Halo 4. I didn't play much of Halo 5. What I can say, though, is that the Halo Infinite beta is definitely getting pretty close. I think this is definitely the closest the games have felt to like the classic Halo feel, like 1, 2, and 3, that I've played myself. Since those games, and that to me is exciting. With that being said, while I did have fun with it, there are some issues. Obviously, it's a beta. There are some glitches here. They're fixing things on the fly, which is great to see. According to my friend, they've already improved some of the more buggier aspects, like how it wasn't even saving our custom Spartan loadout or his the armor we put on him, which is purely cosmetic, I believe. And whereas it is today, we also had sound issues yesterday where it just wouldn't play sounds of our weapons at times, or it'd be really muffled. So I'm hoping that's addressed soon. So yeah, this is very clearly, true to its credit, this is very clearly a beta. Like, this is a beta test, and I appreciate that to an extent, that they're treating it as one and not just like a marketing opportunity. With that being said, yeah, even putting aside the glitches, it just felt like it was missing a little something, just like a little bit of polish. Again, outside the glitches, that I'm hoping they nail in the final game. Like, while the core gameplay feels like I said, like classic Halo, there's something just a little bit off about the gunplay, where the weapons feel maybe a little bit weak or sound a little bit weak. Like, they don't make quite the impact I remember of the classic games, that I hope that they continue to refine. And also, for me, the big thing is, which isn't covered in the beta across the 2 maps I played, or I think even the 3rd one that I bringing in, is, for me, I'm all about the big team action. I love those 16-player maps. I love the vehicles. I love driving around in the team-based objective gameplay with like capture the flag or planting the bombs, which I don't know if that's back or not. But yeah, that's the thing that we didn't get really a good feel of in this time, because the only mode available so far is Slayer, specifically humans versus bots, which on the one hand is a little disappointing because I want to take on other humans, but on the other hand is actually pretty cool, because this is the first time we've had bots in Halo, and they're pretty good. It actually took me around to realize that they actually were bots. But we quickly caught on when we realized we're just demolishing them every game. I don't think we lost a single game across the 2 hours. And apparently I think they are ramping up the bot difficulty as the beta goes on over the next few days. But yeah, so far, early impressions are good, but I'm hoping that they improve it more.
Well, I'm disappointed. I can't ask you, like, were you able to lure people onto a warthog and drive off a cliff?
Yeah, that's a classic Halo action we all know and love, right?
With the bots, were you able to choose the difficulty level at any point,
No.
or was it set manually?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of way in the options for when it comes to actually playing the game right now. So that's all set by the server, because like you are grouped with other humans. So it's you and humans, you and other humans. I like how I made it sound like I'm not a human. You and other humans against the bots. So you are getting a bit of a feel of the online action, but not a great feel, because taking on bots in Halo isn't as fun as taking on other humans. But it is cool to see them again incorporating bots finally.
Also, with these 2 levels you're playing, so they're smaller environments. Were they like tight hallways? Were there any callbacks to maybe old Halo, or do they seem like brand new to the series?
Well, they are definitely new. But they do capture the feel of the smaller, quasi-indoor maps of the original games, which I appreciate. Like, they don't stand out in a good or bad way. Between the 2 maps, Recharge is definitely more corridor-based, definitely tighter quarters, and that definitely leads to some pretty hectic action. Live fire is a little bit more open, being set outdoors, although you're still within a relatively confined area. But it's definitely a little bit more open. That's where you find even more. I found more grenade play coming into play, I suppose. But the thing about Recharge is that that's the only one, as far as I'm aware, that give you access to the hook shot, or the grappling hook. And that thing is pretty darn fun. And that's the thing, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't realize at least in multiplayer, it's a limited use item. You have to go pick it up like any other, like most other items, and you only have a few uses of it before you have to go find it again. And I really just wanted to play around with that even more. So I loved it when I had it. I just didn't have it nearly often enough. And again, I'm pretty sure it was only on that one map, which means I think that map might be my favorite, because I just like using the grappling hook and just shooting myself around, even if I wasn't particularly great at it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask about it next, but how did the grappling hook feel? Like, was it easy to use? Could you like grapple into other players and drag yourself close to them, that sort of thing?
If you can, yeah, if you can do that, I don't know, but I didn't pull that off. But yeah, it feels good. You just activate it with the right bumper. That's your inventory item. You can also activate things like the shield, which is like a half bubble shield in this game. It kind of made me miss the original bubble shield from Halo 3, but it was still pretty cool. I like that you can shoot through, you can shoot through it one way, but if it takes damage from the other, it'll start shooting out the little panels inside it. Anyways, to your point, grappling hook feels good. You activate it with just by tapping the button, it shoots out wherever you're looking, and then yeah, it just instantly pulls you to it. And you can combine that with the new, I think it is new, the ledge grab you have in this game now, where you can, you just pull yourself up if you're near, if you get close enough to a ledge, and that also feels good. So I think they've done a good job in this game of introducing new elements, at least, or rather bringing together elements from some of the other newer Halo games and combining with this little slower paced feel of the originals. So I wasn't a huge fan of like the run they introduced in what was it, ODST, and I think that was brought into Halo 4 as well, perhaps. But I feel like it just feels better here. So I think they struck a good middle ground, at least based on my early playtime. And the grappling hook only augments all of that. The grappling hook is just a lot of fun. So
I wonder with the half bubble shield they brought that in so grenades would be an option to lob them over and into the player's area.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what's fun with the grappling hook, is you can use that to like get away from grenades. Like I was running away from one guy and like just kind of shot myself up into like a little alcove area. But then, although to undermine my point, I think he just threw a bunch of grenades up after me, and I think it took me out. But I think that does speak to partially why the grappling hook is like a limited use item, because that way you can get away with it, but if your opponent had a guaranteed grappling hook as well, they could just follow you everywhere, right? So it does kind of lead to situations where that won't always be the case.
Yeah, and real quick, in this sort of, was it the 4-on-4 kind of mode, and is everyone just running around everywhere, or you each have a side you're kind of coming from constantly?
I think, to your point of asking whether it felt like true Halo maps or not, it did, because I couldn't even tell where I was at points. Like, the maps feel very, very, like, they all look, each area looks kind of similar to other areas, and it's hard to tell what side you're on even. So if we were spawning in, like, on the same side or not, I couldn't tell. It felt like we were spawning at random areas, which I think makes sense, because it's it's just a Slayer match, and although it is team-based, you don't... actually, honestly, I don't know. I wasn't being team killed. I think it just spawns you into random areas. But, chat, let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's something that I would better be able to tell if it were a bigger map with, like, team-based objectives. But yeah, it felt like we're just kind of spawning sporadically, which I think it may have been how it worked in previous Halos too. But it's been a little while since I've played any really other Halos, so...
Alright, and with Halo Infinite, kind of famously, it had its Craig moment with graphics, which was actually just like a single frame and a long trailer.
Yep.
How are the graphics shaping up at this point, getting closer to launch?
They're fine. I mean, I don't know, it's fair to judge it based on multiplayer alone, which typically doesn't usually look as good as the campaigns would, for instance. It didn't blow me away. It looked fine. I think my biggest complaint is just the art. I don't know if I want to say art direction. It's more the color palette. This game is just going hard in on like these kind of like grays and duller tones. And actually, one of the problems I had, semi-related, is I had a hell of a time identifying my enemies versus my teammates easily. The shields apparently changed color, like basically I think enemies are always, their shields are always red, your teammates are always blue. But the armor, you can choose the armor color yourself of your Spartan, meaning that there's really no separation between them or your own armor or your teammates' armor. There may not be, or nothing obviously clear. It really comes down to the shields, as far as I'm aware, and maybe like the icons that display over them. if any. But yeah, I don't know. I found that a little confusing. But anyways, yeah, my big issue with the game is just like the lack of color. It feels drab compared to like Halos 1, 2, and 3, which had bright, bold colors. Whereas here, everything is subdued. And like if you scroll through the weapons as such as you can when exploring the shooting range they have here, the weapons all are colored identically. They all just look really bland. Like they feel like more like they're out of Call of Duty or something than Halo. And that part's weird to me because they've done a good job otherwise of capturing the look and mostly feel of Halo, but the weapon design really and the environmental design or color schemes kind of undermine that. And I really hope that they go back and add a bit more of a contrast to it. Even if they don't go as cartoonish or maybe stylized, I should say, as the original Halos did, I think they get edged closer to it than what they've done here, without sacrificing maybe the more realistic angle they're trying to achieve, I guess.
Yeah, I guess to that point, at least you can customize your characters to be more colorful, and I think you can do some weapon customization too. And when you're just talking about them being drab and stuff, are there no alien weapons in this multiplayer beta?
There are. So like the Needler definitely looks like it definitely looks like a Needler. It was instantly recognizable to me. Same thing with with the plasma pistol. But some of the others just I guess most of the human weapons, especially that, just feel a little bit harder to instantly identify, I find. But I'm sure it's something that I'll get better at with more time with it. It's just more of a general like art color complaint. So
yeah. And on a note, combined with the weapons, how are the melee attacks in this? And did you have any melee weapons to use?
Oh yeah, melee attacks look, they are pretty much dead on in that they literally they deadify your opponents quickly. I was abusing that pretty hard. Combining with the aforementioned plasma rifle, like that's where like, oh yeah, this is a Halo baby. Just shoot them with a fully charged shot, run in, knock them out, and it's done. And, like, it'll send your opponents like flying at times, and that feels good. I would say the melee attacks actually are probably the closer they've gotten to an element feeling like Halo, when it comes to the combat, than anything else. So yeah, I hope that they get the weapons in line with how the melee attacks feel, which is great.
Yeah, I always love going around and knocking people out. It's very rewarding in Halo.
It is.
So.
Yep.
I guess on those notes, is there anything else you want to add? Like, you only get a small taste of the sandbox of Halo in this, unfortunately. Did it leave you wanting more at this point, or are you gonna have to wait and see?
It left me wanting to see the other stuff in the game. So I felt like I got an adequate taste of how the combat works and how they're presenting it in these smaller scale environments, which is never the part of Halo that really appealed to me. It has always been the like large scale, vehicle based and objective-based gameplay, and that's something that we have not seen at all here yet. So I definitely want to see that, because so far they've shown that they're mostly nailing the core combat. Now I want to see how that ties into a larger play space, with more intricate objectives than just kill your opponents. So that's what I'm waiting on. So yeah, I mean, I think I honestly have from the 2 hours I played, I've kind of got my feel of the beta beyond maybe the third map that I haven't tried yet. It's more, I want to see how the rest of the game works now. And, also the grappling hook. I do want to see more of the grappling hook. So yeah, it was a good taste of the game. It showed that they're not totally dropping the ball this time, which is great, but they're also not quite there yet. And they still have, we don't fully know what's releasing yet. I'm assuming near the end of the year. So they still have several months to get there, and hoping that they continue to refine it. And my biggest hope is they just, continue to refine the combat, like how the guns feel. Right now it's lacking that impact. I'm not getting the sense that my weapons are affecting the enemy as much as they should be, and I'm hoping that they address that. That's a key thing I'm missing. If they can nail that, then yeah, I'll be really excited to be there, day one, and hopefully before then we get a review copy and see how it really comes together. So
well, there's always little things like adding bigger sound impacts, or I guess players are gonna have to flinch more when you're shooting them, but definitely, if you're shooting at them, it's not doing much. That's something hopefully they'll address. And
yeah,
there's still time, and even as we know, releasing a game, you can still keep working on it after launch. But hopefully, what's there is great to begin with.
Yeah, so far it hasn't disappointed me. Or rather, it hasn't made me concerned about the future. So, which is a good thing. Halo needs its big comeback moment, and hopefully, Halo Infinite is going to be it.
Yeah, and talking from history, what it sounds like right now is already better than famously playing the first Halo for us at E3, when that chugged on Xbox development units and was, great when it launched later on. So
yeah, great point. Using that as a comparison, they're already at a better place now with this than they were with Halo 1 relative to its release, which came out just a few months later and ended up just fine, as we all know. So
okay, well, any last closing thoughts, Andre, before we end this discussion?
Nope. I just hope they get the big team stuff in there for the next beta. But I want to see that. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yep, I'm all about the vehicles too, and driving the Warthog through funny places.
Yeah, trying to get in places you're not supposed to.
Exactly. All right, well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and for more on Halo coming up soon and all things gaming, stay tuned to GameXplain. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.